anything for me to do, Taryl? I want to help out. I like helping.
Every time you try to help out around here, you end up making more work for me. You, take a hike.
Oh, come on, Taryl. I can be trusted. Just give me a job to do. I can prove it to you.
All right, I got an easy job for you. Why don't you take that garbage out? You think you can do that without screwing that up? Here's the key to the dumpster. And don't lose it.
Oh, where'd it go? Oh, there it is right there. I'm the man for the job. Let me just put those in here for safekeeping. Oh, no! Oh! Taryl's gonna be mad if I don't get this cleaned up. I better not let him see me. Oh, no. Where are them keys at? Oh, no. This is not good. Taryl's gonna kill me. Oh, no. This is not looking good for Uncle Andy. What happened to them keys?
All good, Andy? Did you get that garbage dumped?
Yup, sure did. All taken care of, Taryl.
Okay. Where's the key?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? And where's the garbage can?
It's outside, where I lost the keys.
Andy, I told you not to lose the key, you knucklehead.
I know, Taryl. I'm sorry. Are you mad at me? By the way, what are you having for dinner tonight?
Junior! Come outside and give me a hand looking for this dumpster key that genius lost. Andy, stay in the shop and don't touch anything.
Knowing this knucklehead, he probably dropped the key in the garbage. Ah, yeah, here it is.
Oh, good, you found it.
Knucklehead.
Oh, you found them. How'd they get in there?
Andy, I thought I told you to stay in the shop.
I'm sorry, Taryl. Are you mad at me? You still never told me what you were having for dinner tonight.
Yeah, I am mad at you. You're really gonna have to do something good to redeem yourself after this one. And I'm having Italian beef tonight.
I'm sorry, Taryl. I'll make it up to you. I promise.
Pterodactyl here. And today's video is gonna be on this here John Deere that caught on fire. And it's all burned up. And you're probably wondering,
How did it catch on fire, Taryl? Tell us, how did it catch on fire?
I'll tell you how it caught on fire. Carelessness. Leaves. Leaves did it. And if you find that guy named Leaves, grab him for me because I want to choke him. So what happened is, during leaf season, bunch of leaves packed up around the muffkin, and the muffkin started them on fire. Now I can hear you saying, now
How can that happen, Taryl? That's crazy talk. That muffin ain't hot enough to catch them leaves on fire.
oh yes they are. That muffin gets hot, it'll catch them on fire. Believe me, I've seen it before. So obviously, the leaves were real deep and thick, and they ran over it, and the problem with having the engine with the muffin in the rear is when you're riding this thing and it catches fire, you don't know until them flames are licking your back, which is what happened here with this customer. He told me. Because I didn't realize it until it started feeling all this heat behind me, and when I turned around and looked, it was fully engulfed. So he jumped off the mower, and by the time he was able to go and get water to put it out, it was burning for a long time. So we had to give him a price on what it's going to cost to fix it. So of course, they're not going to have everything fixed because of the cost. They just want me to get it running again and get it working. Like the seat here, we can buy just this back half of the seat from John Deere. They said, no, we're not going to spend that money for that. Just leave the seat on there the way it is. The front of it's still good, so they're going to leave this the way it is burnt. We're not going to replace this because these are very expensive, these plastic covers. So all this cosmetic stuff, they don't want fixed. But this oil tank, this is the oil tank for the transmissions. This is burned all the way through. And then when that transmission oil caught, you know, that of course accelerated the flames. That's part of the seat. So this is a mess. This is a mess. And look at that. It looks like a spider when it melted this cover. This screen we'll use over because it's metal, but we got to replace all this. And I gave him a price of about $2,000. So you always got to give yourself a little leeway in there, because no matter, I've done some of these before, you try to think of every part that you're going to need, and as you start to take it apart, you're always going to find more stuff that got damaged that you're going to have to buy. So look at it. It's just covered in leaves. Look at this. To me, this is just laziness and not caring. Look at that. Leaves are packed everywhere. What does it take for when you get done to just take your leaf blower and blow your machine off when you're done? It takes a couple minutes. And of course, this thing sat, this was in the fall, last fall, so it sat all winter outside. That's why you got fresh leaves that aren't burnt, because the wind was blowing them around. So now it's springtime, so now they bring it in when the grass is growing. Now it's crunch time on me. Now they're putting everything on me, again, with the angry customers. Like it's my fault. You burn your machine up because you're a knucklehead. Then you bring it to me. Now I got to dance and jump around and woo! Oh, let's hurry up and get it done. I'm the Maytag repairman. I'm just sitting there waiting by the phone for you to call me with your burned up mower. Yeah, I'm just waiting here for that. When I got all these other mowers coming in and everybody wanting them because the grass is growing. You know one thing? You would think that the world is going to end if that grass don't get cut when you own a mower shop. It's something how these people over the winter time, I think that cold air freezes their brain, and then when all this stuff starts growing again, it's like, oh, this is magic. Look at all this. All this magic green stuff is growing. I forgot about my lawnmower that was broken in the fall, and I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs all winter long with a mower coming in here and there. I'll just call that guy and he'll just fix it lickety-split. Been doing this for over 40 years. Same crap every year. Same crap. All right, so now we gotta get in here and start tearing all this plastic and everything. Look at it, it's all on there. This is a nightmare. I've had them catch on fire, but I've seen worse ones at my brother Farrell's. I told my brother Farrell one time when that was fully burnt, and he says, we're going to fix that thing. And I go, what are you, nuts? What are you, crazy? Why do you want to fix that stupid thing? Tell that guy it's ruined to buy a new mower. You know what he did? He fixed it. He took that thing all apart and fixed it. And you know what he said after he got done doing that? I'll never do that again. So here it is, all burned up. I looked up everything I could think that we're going to need for it. And there's only 2 parts that are on back order, and that's the coils. So I got all the parts coming for it, and I'm sure there's going to be some parts I missed. Can't get the coils on back order. So you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to put some used coils on there out of the junkyard. I'm going to have to scrounge up a couple of used coils. I don't have any other used parts for this engine because it's got this different air cleaner design and stuff on it. And usually I don't save these blower shrouds when we junk mowers, when we got junk engines. You know, if I got good complete engines, I don't want to cannibalize them, but junk engines, a lot of times I'd save these blower shrouds and then they would sit around here forever and ever. Now I give them to Doc Neon. Doc Neon wants them, so he's got all the blower shrouds because he's going to put neon on them. But he's about 3 hours away. But we ordered all new ones. Got all new parts coming for it. Let's start tearing it apart, I guess. Better get this battery disconnected before I start another fire. This time I'll just let it burn though. You're probably wondering,
Oh, they probably got insurance on that mower.
yeah, they got insurance on a lawnmower. That's funny. Maybe they got mower shield. If it was brand new and they had a loan on it, yeah, they might have insurance on it. But this mower's from 2011. I highly doubt they got any insurance on it. Got a little melted. It might still be good, but we're gonna put a new one in. Yeah, look at all this. Carelessness. Laziness, carelessness, whatever you want to call it. Oh, that fan's still good. Nah. I don't know why it's got 2 different size screws. One side's 1/4 inch, the other side's 5/16. I'm gonna have to save this bracket and this latch. I don't know what comes with the new one. We'll find out when it gets here. We just throw those in there so I don't lose them for now. Put that in the save file for now. This is all melted. This hose. So I may have to look up these parts because, like I said, everything's melted. It's hard to tell on them diagrams what exactly you need. Dipstick, look at that dipstick. Melted in place. This cable going right to the, see, this is all stuff I didn't account for. Carburetor looks all right. But I have to pull this off so I can get this oil tank off. But I think I'll get the shop vac. All right, let's take this reservoir tank off. I'm going to pinch that off. I already loosened the clamp. There's another hose underneath. It's got a filter in here. They want $200 from John Deere for this tank. It better come with a cap. Alright, here's this hose, which is got kind of burnt. So I'll have to find out from John Deere about getting a hose. I don't want any crap to get in there. Get me a plastic cap. Cap that off. Yeah, this hose has got to be replaced. See, that's something else I didn't account for. Here's some more burnt wires here. Power wires. Wonder where they're going. They going to the clutch, or where are they going to? They're going to something over here. Yeah, these are for the electric clutch. So I'll have to cut these back. Splice in some new ones. Yeah, they're all melted together. This plug. I might have another one of these plugs. These wires luckily are good. This one looks like it had been cut and spliced together at some point for another reason. But I might be able to release those out of there, and I might have a used plug to put on there. Got this trans fluid all over me. Cut this off. There we go. Get a little better look at that. Get that ready. And get a better look over here. All this, I ordered a wiring harness for this. So I should be getting all that new. Here's the plug for the voltage regulator. Melted. Alternator wires seem to be okay. Now that we got a better look at this over here, this cable, starter cable, there's the dipstick. Have to pull the starter off. I got a new dipstick. Oh, a bunch of crap falling in there trying to pull that out. I got a new dipstick tube coming. Where's my oil sucker at? Some crap fell in there. There we go. There's a nice red one that fit in there. Fits in there tight. Well, I got a lot more scraping and cleaning to do, and then I'll pressure scrub it. And then there's some more little parts I gotta look up, some little hoses and things. And then wait for some of the parts to come in, and then we can start putting it back together. I'll scrounge up a set of coils. I'll get the starter off, get that voltage regulator off. I'll scrounge a set of coils up, and we'll make sure it runs, and then we'll go ahead and put all the shrouds and stuff back on it. I got to get a hold of John Deere and find out about this hose. And that goes way under here somewhere. So it looks like I may have to take some more of this apart. Just out of the way. That hose goes way up. I don't know where it goes. It's going somewhere. Find out where that goes, how much of a pain in the keister that's going to be. Yeah. Jobs like these. If I didn't have this YouTube channel, I would have turned this down. But I know y'all want to see me get this burnt thing going. I would have said, take it to John Deere. Let them mess with it. You know what John Deere would have told them? You need a new lawnmower. They probably wouldn't fix it either. Look at this. This is like a paper, it's like a plastic bag. That'll be the battle scars from when we get it going. Yeah, not a fun project. I got a lot more scraping to do. Cleaning, I'll push this thing outside. But of course, you know, hey, you don't take care of your stuff and I got to do it, you're going to pay me. And I don't come cheap. Took it outside, gave it a good pressure scrubbing, got it all cleaned up. Got that old oil tank and everything removed. We're going to have to replace this hose. Oh, for the oil tank. Whoa, everything's like flopping around here. I went out in the junkyard, found a couple of used coils for a Vanguard. I cleaned the plastic off of the starter and I checked it and it is good. So let's see if we can get this thing started. Now another thing I did before we're going to try to start it is I disconnected the belt that's going to the pump. So since I don't have the reservoir on here, I don't want the pump to be spinning and pumping oil through there. So I disconnected that. And then I'm going to have to replace that hose. Like I said, it's all burnt up. And a Taryl fan called me probably about a month or so ago, and he told me about these hose pliers from Harbor Freight. And they come in a set of 3. And these are really handy, and they're long handles. So I have to remove this hose because I called the John Deere dealer, and the only way to get this hose is they sell it by the foot, so we got to pull it off and measure it and cut it. So right in here I took that off, that clamp off, and look at these hose pliers. Look at that. Look at, oh man, that makes easy work of getting them hoses off when they're trying to struggle with them. So look at that, I can get that off of there. I'm gonna leave it on for now because I don't want oil all over. But I just thought I'd show you these pliers. So thank you, Taryl fan, for turning me on to these pliers. They're handy dandy. I think they were like 17 or 18 bucks for the set of them. Very nice. Okay, so I got my jumper battery that I made. So let's see if this thing will start. So what I'm going to do is ground it. Oop. I'll ground it right here. And then again, got that solenoid on the carburetor that I need to get power to. This wire goes to ground. This is power. And I can hear it clicking. Well, you can hear me burping and clicking. Oh, there I go again. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me, people. For belching. That's rude of me. But hey, when you got to belch, you got to belch. So you can hear it. So that's working. So we'll hook that up and try to put it in the area where we ain't going to touch ground, so it'll start sparking and start this thing on fire again. I've got the alternator and everything disconnected. This might still be good. We'll find out when I go to put more of it together. It just kind of melted the plug, so we may be able to use this regulator over. And then here's the wire down here for the alternator that's under the flywheel. So we may be able to use that over. So I'm going to tuck that down there. I don't want it to get caught in the flywheel and chop them wires up. What else? Oh, I disconnected the solenoid because this is the starter wire that's all burned up. And these are the wires that go to the clutch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these wires because I'm going to replace them. I'm going to scab in some new ones. So let me get my cotters.
Tandy, put down them cotters.
You probably heard me say that before.
Just back up, all right? Not another step closer.
Tandy, put them cutters down. Turn yourself in.
Listen to her, Tandy. We don't want this to go any further than it already has.
So we'll cut them loose. And then I'll pull this out. So I can get at this. This looks like this solenoid had been replaced at one time. This is a universal solenoid. So I'll replace this cable here. And then this is the one that goes to the battery. It's just a little burnt on the end. I'll just crimp a new battery connector on there. And this connector here is just a little singed. I could probably use this over. And I've got the new oil tank on order from John Deere. And I'll replace this piece of fuel line. It doesn't seem like it's leaking yet. And another thing is, I noticed the throttle is frozen. So I'm going to have to take this throttle control out of here. And I'll probably just replace the cable, which we sell in our online store, and the inner wire. But I just want to make sure it's going to start. So I got the coils on. I got the air gap set. And let's see, is it getting full choke? Yeah, it's all the way on choke, so I may have to manually force this if it starts. So I'm going to go right to the starter here. Since I got everything disconnected, I'm going to go right to the starter. We're going to see if this thing will start. So when I disconnected this, that killed the power to that solenoid, which shut off the fuel of the carburetor, and that's what made it stop. Now I know you see all that smoke and everything coming off of there. That's more melted plastic that got on the muffin. So once we get it back together, get it running, that'll burn off. We'll be able to burn all that plasticky residue off of there. That's that smoke you're seeing. But I just wanted to make sure it ran before I went any further. So it does, it runs. Which is what it was doing before it caught fire. So, I got a hold of our friends over there at ProPartsDirect.net and ordered up a bunch of parts for this. I'm sure I'm going to need some more. But we got a whole bunch of parts for this thing. So let's do a little unboxing video. Oh, look at this. Looks like Christmas. I made a Christmas tree out of all these brakes and scrap 'em parts. Alright, so let's see what's in here. Oh, it says wiring harness. Okay. So here's this harness here. So that's the one that goes to that solenoid. Now when I looked this thing up, it had a bunch of different options for different harnesses. And it said a bunch of different things on there. So I'm not even sure if this is going to be the right one. There might be some extra wires on here. One wire I don't see that's on here is the one for the coils. So I may have to additionally order that, or I might have ordered the wrong one. It's kind of confusing when you look this stuff up. So we'll see if this one will work. If not, oh, it's got a little love note in there.
This harness is supplied to connect older style tractor wiring to current style engine wiring with 6-pin connector. If original tractor wiring is already equipped with a 6-pin connector, this harness is not required. Do not interconnect any unused harness connectors or ignition system damage will occur. Tape off unused connectors. Love, brakes and scrap them. So, ignition, if equipped with fuel solenoid, which it is. Ignition, if not equipped with fuel solenoid. So there's an extra wire on there we may not need. Regulator, if equipped, which we got. Dual circuit alternator, if equipped. Alright, so we'll figure that out when I get to that point. If it's the wrong one, then I'll just have to order another one until we get the right one. So there's that. What's this? Dipstick tube assembly. So here's that. That's what that looked like before the fire. So we could stick that in there and get rid of that plastic cap. What do we got here? What's in here? Elbow intake. That'd be a good name for a band. You're gonna see elbow intake. Man, I love them guys. And that is this. Little sack in here. Gotta get out my spider knife. Gasket and fitting for that pollution control thing, and this is a stopper in case you want to choke it off. And again, a love note from Brakes and Scrapple. Dear Taryl, if this has the evaporative system connector and cap.
So that was that cap I was showing you. So we got this with the hose you hook up the hose. If you got an engine that doesn't have the hose, then you put that cap over that because you want to seal it off because you don't want any dirt to get sucked in there. So that is this part here, which I haven't taken off yet because I wanted to make sure it runs. So I got to pull the manifold and put this on and snap in that little connector, and then this is where the crankcase breather hose goes. So here's the crankcase breather, and there's a little hose that goes from here to there, which I forgot to order because everything was melted and you can't remember everything. So I may be ordering another harness and that hose. Alright, so what's this? What's the next part? This is exciting. Guard debris screen. What do we got here? Okay, that's that big cover that looked like a spider in the beginning. And then it melted. And then looked like a spider. And I'm sure this wasn't cheap. A lot of these parts were kind of expensive, 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks a piece. What do we got here? What does this say? Cover air cleaner. Alright, is this? I saved one of these. I didn't know if it came with new ones or not, and it did. Let's see, any love notes in there? No. No love notes. And this is the fan for the flywheel. Now I know I said in the beginning it was going to be about $2,000, but it may be lower. I always like to said in the beginning too. I always like to go on the high side, and I tell the customer that too. I go, it may be between this price and that price, because you never know when you run into more problems. You don't want to be calling them every 10 minutes, like, oh, I found another part that's got to be replaced. And then the customer's all mad going, yeah, why does that guy keep calling me? So here's the fan. And then I saved that little ring and then the 2 bolts for that. So there's the fan. This is like a Taryl fan. You know, Taryl fan is a beautiful person. Just like this fan here. And this last big box, drum roll please. Let's see what's in here. Uh-oh. What's in here? Hello? Who's in there? It's me, Taryl. Who are you? Open me up and find out. Okay, I'm gonna open you up and find out. Oh, it's you! It's you! Mr. Blower Shroud! Hey! It's Mr. Blower Shroud! Remember me? He was all melted, belching out toxic fumes into the air. This is him. This is what he looks like. Could also be a transformer. You can go to the Halloween costume. What are you? I'm a brakes and scrap 'em V-twin engine. Put all those other parts on your head. You put the fan on your head like a crown. You'll be like a Power Ranger or something. I'm the brakes and scrap 'em Power Ranger. So here's that. And that goes on there. All right. So my next task is going to be place that cable, fix them wires, and install all these parts. And then we'll get the reservoir, fill it with oil, make sure it drives around, the blades and everything kick on. Yeah. We're getting there. We're making headway. Doesn't look as bad as it did when it first came in. Okay, so I put a new cable on the solenoid that goes to the starter, and this is the one that goes to the battery. Now this is just a little singed here, so I cut it off because I couldn't get the other terminal off. Remember, I had to cut it. So I got the new battery end on there. I'm going to crimp that on, and then I'll put this heat shrink over it, and that'll kind of cover that burn mark so it don't look so bad. Then I can remount this and get that routed again. And then I want to put the dipstick tube in first. But the dipstick tube has to mount underneath this shield, which means I got to pull the flywheel and this guard to put that dipstick tube in. So before I do that, I also want to check the alternator to make sure the alternator's good. Because if the alternator got hot and it melted it or ruined it, I'm going to have to replace the alternator. So I went and got a plug, and I stripped back the wires on it, and we're going to start this thing again. And I'm going to put my meter on there and make sure the alternator's good. So we're going to have to start this thing up again. And I also took the throttle cable off because this is all ruined. So I'm going to repair this with the conduit and inner wire, which we sell in our online store. We sell it by the foot, or you can buy a roll of it. So we're going to go on the bench, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to replace this cable without having to replace this whole control. That'll be cheaper. All right. So here's my meter. Got my meter, which I'm going to set to AC voltage. And I'm going to hook my ground up again. I'm going to hook this up so I can energize that solenoid on the carburetor. And then all I got to do is, now I have to manually choke it over here. And then I'll just touch the positive to the battery and it'll crank over and we'll get this thing started. So the alternator tests good. So I don't have to worry about that. And that's more of that melted plastic I can smell. That'll burn off over time. Okay. So now I'll pop the flywheel and get that on. And I looked up the wrong wiring harness for this thing. I'm going to have to send that back. I found the right one. It's kind of confusing. These drawings online, some of them are terrible and it's hard to see. So I had, went to Pro Parts site and luckily they had pictures of the wiring harnesses. So I went through and found the right one because there was like 4 different ones and it was kind of confusing. So good thing I saved the old one. So I went on there and I was able to figure out which one I needed. So I'll get that. So I'm going to need to put that on before I can put all the covers and stuff back on. But at least I can get some of this wiring straightened out and get that back together. Oh, I replaced this piece of fuel line that was melted. Put the new one on there. So now I'm going to pop the flywheel and we'll get that dipstick tube installed. Alright, I need to find a good place to pivot with my pry bar, and right here I can get under the flywheel. You don't want to shove this too far underneath there, you'll hit the alternator. And then I can pivot off this part of the manifold and put some pressure on it and then give it a good sharp blow right in the center There we go. And there's your dinner. And then of course, clean this out under here. So I need to remove these screws so I can get this off. We can get that dipstick tube. There's a lot of things you got to do just to replace that dipstick tube. So those are some Torx heads. So let me get the right Torx socket for that. All right, I removed the 4 screws so I can remove this plate. And here's what's left of this right here. And then pull out this plug. I'll reach in there. Oop. Get a little oil. Smear a little oil on that O-ring. And stick that back in there. Now I can put this back on. And then they give you a new screw. I don't know why. They give you one. I don't really need it. I got the 4 other ones that I took out are still good. And then this little plate that helps hold the wires down for alternator. And now I'll just reinstall this. And then I can put the flywheel back on. And then we'll go over and start messing with that throttle and the wires for the clutch that I had to cut that were melted. So I'm gonna fix that too. So this is the wiring connector for the PTO clutch, the electric clutch. And this is still good, but this is the part that got melted. So I went and cut me 2 pieces of 14 gauge wire. And I got me 2 male connectors. And I got a part number for them. These were from Napa. Male blade, Napa, NW725444. See, I got a lot of those different connectors in there. And I've got the little, I'm sure somebody else makes these. Standard probably makes them, but I don't know the part number for that. Your auto parts store may be able to cross them. So to remove them, all you got to do is squeeze this a little bit, because when you push it in, this is what catches to lock it in. So to remove it, you just got to squeeze it. So I just got to squeeze it. Oh, don't bend it, just squeeze it. And then you can pull it out. And I'll do the same over here. Now it's not polarity sensitive, that electric clutch. So if you get the wires mixed up, put the red one here and the black one there, it's still going to work. But I'll try to put it back the same way it was. Just got to squeeze this one. Oh, did the same thing. Squeezed it too hard. There, see, and it comes out. Let me get the air blower, blow this out. It's all oily. And then I'll get my crimping tool. And then I'll crimp that on there with my crimping tool. So I got my crimping tool. This is a Mountain brand crimping tool. You may have seen me use it before. Comes with different dies for the jaws. And this particular model is an MTN for Mountain C48. Go, dropping stuff. So let me put this in there. I gotta put it this way. And let me get here's my strippers. I just want to strip a little bit off the end. And then it gives it a nice factory crimp. This isn't crimped very good, so I'm going to stick it in the next one down, the next size down, and try to crimp that a little tighter. Nope, that ain't going to work. Let me just stick it in there again. Yeah, let me crimp it a second time. Yeah, that was better. See, now I gave it a nice tight crimp. All right, and I'll do the same for the other one. I'll plug them into the connector, and then I'm gonna solder these to the other one. I'm not gonna use butt connectors. I'm gonna solder them, and then I'll put some heat shrink tubing over them, and then I'll have that fixed. All right, now we're gonna repair this. So I'm gonna pop this off first. This little cap. Come on, little guy. Come on. There we go. Slide that out of the way. Then I usually take these same side cutters, and you could use it to kind of spread this open. Then you can get this out of there. Get out of the way. There we go. And unhook that Z from the Z bend. So they put a little divot in there. So I usually drill that out. I'll get a little bit bigger drill bit and I'll drill that out. And then we'll pull this, I'll put this in the vise, and then we'll just pull that old conduit out of there. Let me get a pair of pliers. There we go. You just rip it out of there. Now we'll cut that Z off. We'll pull it because we want to save this part. Take that off. So this is pretty much shot. So I'll just leave that in there. We're going to put a new piece of wire in there. But I do want this little cap off the end. So I got to cut this Z off of this end. All right. Oh, I need to find that little cap I had. All right, I'll find it. So now I got to go cut me a length of conduit and some inner wire. Okay, I cut the conduit and the inner wire, which again we sell in our online store. We have the coated and the non-coated, and we have a heavy-duty version, which is heavier conduit with a heavier inner wire. This is the standard wire in there. So I cut it to length. So now I got to cut back a little of the coating that's on there. And let me see if it'll fit in there. there was a divot on the other side too. I had to drill that out. All right, so it threads on there. So now what I'll do to hold it in place is I'll just take a center punch and I'll put another divot here and another one on the other side to hold it. And then I'll take my Z bender, which we sell these too in our online store. So I just simply stick it in there, bend to 90, spin it, and bend it up. Now it makes that end kind of long, so you got to trim it back a little bit. I'll go ahead and put my divots in there to hold that. Then I could stick it in here. Stick this back in there, crimp it. Oh, can't forget to put my little thing on there that I almost lost, but I found it. But let me go ahead and put the divots in there. So I'll just take a center punch and put a divot in there and then one on the other side. That way we can reuse this. There's our dinner. He's on there tight now. Get it in there. Then I usually take the side cutters and squeeze it back together, maybe. These are a little wide. These will work. These should work. Just don't want it to come out of there. Could also put it in a vise and squeeze it together too. But this works. Sometimes the side cutters work too on smaller ones where you can grab it, kind of squeeze it together. Whatever way you want to squeeze it. And then let's put this back on. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. Usually I pre-lube it, but I didn't show you that. So, you can take our gel lube, which we sell in our online store. This one's missing the cap. Oh, because somebody broke it off. Nice. Somebody broke that off and didn't tell us. But anyway, you take the gel lube, which we sell in our online store, and you take the little straw, spray some lube in there and pre-lubricate the inside of the cable. Nice. So a $25 can of gel lube, which is now garbage because somebody knocked it off the bench and broke it. Some knucklehead. And it wasn't me. So on the other end, they had this much of that outer coating stripped off. So I'm going to want to do that. Now I'll put the cable back on, and then I cut it long, so I make sure I got plenty of it on there. It's working again. Of course, I had to pull the knob off to take it off, so I got it on there loose. And then I'll mark where I need it, cut it off, and then I'll Z-bend the other end. Alright, I put that other little protector on the end, and I've got the throttle all the way up to the choke position. And then I'll move the throttle down here so it's also in the choke position. So that cable is all the way in, so it's pulling on it all the way. So then I'm going to stick it near the clamp here, where it clamps in. And there's the hole it goes into, so I can give myself a little leeway. And you want to go a little bit ahead of the hole because you're going to lose some length when you go to bend it with the Z-bender. cut it off there. Take my Z bender, bend it, spin it. So you notice I bent it towards me first. Then I spun it and bent it again. Then again, it's going to be a little bit long, so you can trim some off. Now it's in the perfect spot for sticking in the hole here. Now I'm all the way in that choke position, because here's my choke. And that takes the choke off. Now all I got to do is stick it in the clamp and tighten the bolt down. Let me get it snugged up. Get it close. And I'll pull on it to make sure I'm getting full choke. Don't want to strip it out, so don't go crazy tightening it too tight. We got full choke. Now when I pull it back, goes to idle, goes to full choke, make sure the choke's going full. Cycle it a few times. Alright, so we're good to go. So since I'm waiting on my wiring harness and that, I guess the next thing I can do is take this off, take the manifold off, take this melted part off, and put the new one on that I got. And then hopefully my other parts will come in, and my oil tank, oil reservoir, and my new hose that's melted, so I can get that all taken care of. Then the rest will be just putting the covers and stuff back on, and it should be alright. But yeah, I'll tidy this all up. And then like I said, I'm going to solder these. I'll get some heat shrink, put the heat shrink on. I'll twist these, solder them instead of using butt connectors. Then I'll zip tie this back in place. I'll put some of that protective tubing over this. I've got some of that split loom. I'll put some of that over it, and we'll get that all done. All right, we're picking away at it like a piece of chicken. Piece of burnt chicken. All right, so I got the other parts that I needed from our friends at ProPartsDirect.net. So I got the right harness this time. It's, again, kind of confusing when you're looking this stuff up and they've got multiple harnesses on there. So luckily I was able to find a picture of one under that part number so I can match it up. So this is the right one. This is for our kill that go to the coils that got the built-in diodes in there. And then this goes to the fuel solenoid to turn it on. And then this is our charge wire. And then I found this because I thought this part was coming with another part because it was kind of in a box on the diagram. But then I looked again, I had to look real close, and I'm like, oh no, this part's separate. Because this part was missing too. Here's the old one. So what I need to do is just take this part off of this one and stick it on there. And then again, there was a back-ordered part, like the coils. Still can't get the coils, they're still on back order, so I had to use used ones. So I went out in the junkyard to find this vent tube. Well, the first one I found on a junk engine was all rotted away. So I couldn't use that one. So then I had a good used engine that I was going to put on maybe a tractor if I needed to. So I had to rob it off of that good used engine. Now I got to wait for the new one to come in to put on the used engine. So I might as well order a couple of these. So I found a good used one, luckily. So now again, with these back-ordered parts. Oh, these companies, I tell you, they're getting worse and worse. All right. So to make it easier to install this wiring harness, I need to take the carburetor off because I have to take it off anyway to put this part on. So I was waiting for this to come in to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. All right, I got my wires routed through here, hooked up to the coils. And then this runs through this hole here. And now I can take off the ground and get rid of that. That'll go with all them parts so I can keep track. That's another thing. Hold on to the old parts so when you go to bill it out, you can look at all the old parts and the old parts bags. Here's the vent tube, crankcase vent tube I'm going to install. You just take a little screwdriver and kind of tuck that grommet in there. And then you could tell somebody had been in here, had this carburetor off because they put that red silicone all on here. I mean, it ran, you heard it run, it ran, sounded strong, so it was sealing. But I got 2 new gaskets. And this is sticky stuff. So you could stick the gasket to the manifold or to the heads and it'll hold it for you. So I got the carburetor disconnected here. And I got the fuel line pinched off because it was leaking everywhere. So now I can pop these off. Make sure they're the right ones. Yeah, they're the same. They look the same, but you never know what breaks and scrap them. Now I can unbolt this. So let me get a 7/16 and unbolt that. We'll put the new one on. Here's the new one. In our fittings. And our new gasket. So we don't need that block off because we're going to hook that hose back up. But we'll save that. Might come in handy for something else. And then I just got to snap this in. And make sure and that way when it's on there, I can run the hose to it. Does it go that way? It goes like that probably, facing up. Yeah, that way I can. Well, what did the little love note say? There was a love note in there. Looks like they got it pointing down. It's hard to tell because it's melted off of there which position it was in. But the hose is coming through here. And there's no hole in this. And then that's going to hook up like that. Alright, I'll figure it out. Yeah, it probably goes like this. Because it's going to sit up here. It's going to sit up this high. Because here's the hose. And then we're just going to run the hose from here to there. So it can't be pointing down. Alright, we got the new gasket installed. And I got these surfaces all cleaned up, ready for the new gaskets for that. So we'll put that on. Put the nuts on. Gotta hook up. The throttle link has gotta go back in here. There we go, that popped in. And the choke link And let me plug this anti-backfire valve in, and then we'll snap this in for the choke, and then get this in, this vent hose. Make it a little easier. Maybe. Let me get a screw to hold. Get a couple of screws. Hold that carburetor for me. All right. Yeah, it makes it a little easier. All right, now that's snapped in. Now I went and I found me a good piece of vacuum hose, just like the one I took off. It's probably better. It seems to be a little stiffer. Let's stick that end on there. Run it through here. How they had it, and make sure I give myself a little extra just in case. For some reason this doesn't want to stay snapped in here. We'll spray a little lubricant on them hoses. Might help push them on there. I don't want to break those fittings off. Little something to help get it to slide on there. All right, there we go. All right, it's on there. All right. Now I'll tighten this down, and then we'll start it again before I put the rest of the covers on. And then I want to check, make sure the battery's charging. Let me release this. This has got to stay up. We don't want to pinch that fuel pump vacuum hose. Alright, let me put the screws back in, tighten her down. Then all we got to do is finish putting the blower shroud on. The battery's good. I'm going to leave the battery like I said earlier. It's been sitting out there probably about a week for these other parts to come in. Because I wanted to have some other parts on my order. I just didn't want to order them by themselves. So I waited a little while. So it's been sitting out there for probably a week or more. And when I had to bring it in to film what we're doing now, it fired right up. So battery's still good. Alright, got all the wires hooked back up, got it on. Let's give it a listen. I want to hear if I can hear that solenoid clicking. This fuel shutoff solenoid. Yeah, I can hear it. So we got power to it. Let me hold up on this fuel pump. Hey, we'll put it right there like that. And then I got my meter hooked up. I want to see if it's charging battery. What did I do? Ah, the link popped out for the governor. I thought I had it hooked in there. It must have jumped out on me. I may have to, there we go. All right, I got lucky it popped in. Woo! Scary. All right, let's try that again. Choke it. Sounds good. Sounds healthy. It's charging. So the regulator's good. Alternator's good. Didn't get destroyed in the fire. So they got lucky. They got lucky on a lot of this stuff. Okay, so now I can just go ahead and put all the shrouds back on, you know, the blower cover and the air filter cover and all that. So you don't need to see me do all that. That's pretty straightforward. Well, got it all back together. Looks a lot better than it did before. I mean, there's still melted parts, but they don't want them replaced. And it runs. Remember this? In the beginning, it looked like a tarantula. It looked like a spider when it was all melted. Now it looks like a spider web. And then if you melt it, it'll look like a spider again. So let's
Fire it up, fire it up, fire it up.
I'm going to change the oil too before I give it back to them. I need to change the oil. But I want to get it hot. You should always get engine oil hot before you change it. It comes out quicker and faster. Plus, a lot of times, any kind of dirt or debris that's in the oil will be held in suspension in the oil, and then when you drain it out, you kind of flush it out. So again, there's a couple more things I need to do. One is to put this back on, but it'll be easier for me to change the oil with that off. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install a hillbilly fire alarm to the back of it. So if it catches fire again, he'll know. And it's real simple and easy to do. You're probably going to want to do it to your mower. All you do is simply hang some Jiffy Pop on the back of the mower. Yeah! So when that baby catches fire, he'll smell that popcorn and hear it popping, and then he can jump off and watch it burn, and he'll also have a tasty snack. Well, there you have it. I was able to save this burned up John Deere. I wonder if it smelled like venison cooking, since it's a deer. when it was on fire, get it? Because, you know, venison is, yeah, you get it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you already haven't. Hit that subscribe button. I don't know how many times I got to tell you. Check out our other channel, Taryl Fixes All Skits. Did I mention that earlier in the video? Subscribe to that channel too. Go to our web store. Got all kinds of stuff, like this beautiful work shirt. It says Grass Rat's Garage on it. And over here, I could see your name. You could put a patch with your name on there. Bubba. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! Fix the burn John Deere. Added the fire alarm. I bet you're going to put one on your mower.
What fertilizer do you like to use for your lawn?
I like that stuff. It's got the grub control in there.
Oh yeah,
Keeps-
growth control, yeah. Those things really mess up your lawn.
Oh man, I tell you, they're terrible.
You ever see a bird fly down and eat one of those
Yeah,
things?
yeah, I saw that one time a couple weeks back
Oh
actually.
man, those things are nasty.
I know, it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that fertilizer too. That growth control in there. You know, you don't want those guys all
I need some help over here.
No, they screw everything up. It's terrible.
Exactly.
I don't want to have to let go of this.
So I always ask
You gotta use the grub control. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
this stuff works great.
Yo, that's what I usually get. I can only afford one bag at a time, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's expensive. Oh, my wife makes the best pasta. To die for garlic bread, I tell you.
Really? Oh, you have to invite me over sometime.
Yeah, if you're not doing nothing later, you can come by. So the sauce gets on the rim, you know. It's on the rim. And then it's just...
Oh.
Andy, I needed your help, and you dropped the ball again.
Oh, sorry, Taryl. I didn't know you needed my help. We were in a conversation over here about a very important topic. But I'm ready to help now.
Too late now. I could have used your help. But don't worry about it. I'll get Junior to help me.
I'm sorry, Taryl. I really want to help you. Just let me know what I can do.
I got a job for you, Andy. And it involves taking a trip. You want to take a little trip?
Oh, you should totally go. Trips are fun.
Yeah, I love trips. And I love Arizona.
It's not Arizona, but it's close.